sunshine is dry, I'm going to take my eraser in a circular motion. Let's get rid of all the lines that we don't need. And then let's brush that off into the garbage so we don't make a mess. Into the wastebasket. The lips on my sunshine I want to do with my watercolor pencils. So I'm going to make certain that I put that on heavy enough. And I'm using a red, violet, kind of a pinkish tone. And get that on there. And then we're going to blend it. The same with my eyes. Now remember that we use our black last. And I'm going to draw this line up into my cheek area, but I am not going to blend that part of my line. And again, I'm going to do the whole colored part of my eye. And then I'll go over where my pupil is going to be. So I want her to have great, big, gorgeous eyes. Now I can wet my brush if I choose to on my lips, touch on my paper towel and blend that color a little bit. If you feel like your eyes are large enough that you can do that on your eyes, let's blend your eyes. If not, you can just leave them. I'm going to do one blended, and then I'm going to leave the other one. Then I'm going to take my black and draw my pupil, touching the top of my eyelid, and then outlining. I think my sunshine needs some eyelashes. So, tiny bit of an eyebrow. At this point, if you wanted to, you could add some design on top of your sun rays, and also a tiny little highlight in my eye, either at 11 o'clock or at 1. Now she looks like she's alive. Look how awesome. Now on my sunshine also, if I get any of that, like my eyebrows tiny bit too heavy, I could just lightly wet my brush and blend those. So on my background, if you'd like to try the wax crayon, what I'm going to do is just write lightly with my pencil, sunshine, and then I'm going to go underneath, not on my pencil, so I can erase it. If I go on my pencil, what will happen is I won't be able to get the wax or the pencil erased underneath. So I'm just going to go around. Whoops, I pushed a little bit too hard. The wax crayon you can sharpen with a hand sharpener into the garbage. Now I've mixed my background color, and opposite of my yellow is my purple, but I put a little bit of blue in it because I like that. So I'm going to go back with a brush. That's small enough I can get into my detail. And can you see where my wax crayon is? And where my pencil is, it's almost going to look like a shadow. The other thing that I may do, just for fun, is I may get lots of color on here and sprinkle just a little bit of salt around my sunshine so it draws a little more attention or more detail to that area. Let's get that on there before it dries. So any place you choose to add that. Now you can leave the inside back of the card, the part that's the front, if you'd like to add some text. How awesome would this be as a thank you to maybe our grandparents, or a hello to our grandparents, a thank you to our mailman, all of the people that have been so important in everything that's going on in taking care of all of us. So the people at the grocery store, what would we do without all of these wonderful people that have kept things going? Truck drivers, who else? If when you're finished with this card, you want to make copies to send to lots of people, you can copy them on the copy machine, cut them, and fold them, and they're ready to go. So you don't have to paint each one. You can just color copy the one that we've created. So after my sunshine has dried, I'll take a dry paper towel and over the wastebasket or someplace that I can dispose of it, I will wipe off the salt. If it's not completely dry, you need to make certain by touching the back of your hand. If it's not completely dry, when you wipe that off with a dry paper towel, it will smear your color and your purple could get on your yellow. So the next thing that I've done with my sunshine is I've taken a little bit of a watercolor pencil, one that is burgundy color that is called Burnt Carmine. And what I do with the Burnt Carmine is instead of going with the design, so here's my circle, instead of going around my design like this, I'm adding shadows, but I'm adding them like this. That is much easier to blend than the stripe that I have right there. So if I blend that, that's hard to get rid of that stripe. But if I blend this, super, super simple to get rid of my lines. So that's what I've applied around my sunshine face. This side I have blended, this side I have not. I also found a watercolor pencil that is the color of my background. So with my background color, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do little tiny triangle shapes in the places where I would have more than one overlap. And again, I'm not doing it solid. I'm keeping it, here's my triangle, I'm keeping it so that my edge is jagged. And then I'm going in with my brush where I need to and just softening that just a tiny bit. And look how awesome that makes my colors. So this has got my first layer, my Burnt Carmine. I'm going back with my other color around there. I also took some of that purple and just very carefully, very light along underneath my brow bone, and then I blended that as well. Another thing that I could do to add just a tiny bit more color to my sun is take my red watercolor or even some orange, and I could touch on just a tiny bit more color on her cheeks if you feel like you need to. Wet my brush, go back and soften my edges. So underneath my, where I did my sunshine, my wax pencil or wax crayon, I didn't get that quite wide enough, so I'm going to take my gel pen and go back over that just a little bit to clean that up. Lettering on the front, I'm going to come in, I'm going to do the green on my leaves, but I'm going to do my lettering first. A couple ways you could do this. I drew my line like I did right here. I counted my letters and found the halfway point. So I have 18 letters because I count every space as a letter, and I found the center. I counted the letters in my words and spaces, and I started here and did come, then I did my the, and I wanted my sun to be big, my lettering, so I actually would do that first, and then I could adjust this if I needed to. When I letter, I just write like I normally write. It could be printed, it could be cursive. It's totally up to you. The other way I can do this is I can see the space that I have. I could actually copy this on the copy machine, but I could draw my line on tracing paper, then do the same, get my center, and then start to do my words. And if I need to erase, it's much easier to erase now. And then what I do, once I get my letters on here, I get my N and my exclamation point. Now, if I want, I can add those boxes, which just gives us a little bit of interest to our letters, and then erase my line. But I can also then turn my paper upside down, take my pencil, and do my graphite. I would do the whole quote, all of the letters, but I just want to show you with this example. Do my pencil on the back, get it where I want it on my design, and then I can go over it with my pencil and making certain I don't move until I'm finished, but you can see my words. So that is probably, as you're starting out, the easiest way to transfer your letters on your design, on your card. With the watercolors, I started with a blue and some green. I actually started with 3 puddles of water on my plate, 3 puddles of green. I put blue in this one, yellow in that one, and just plain green in that one. And that's going to be my leaves. Same background color. I did add a tiny bit more water to it. Now you can see that I can tell where my lettering is underneath my watercolor. So once that's dry, I'm going to take a Sharpie, or you could use a sharpened black watercolor pencil, which might be easiest, and go over your letters so you can see those. The other thing on my envelope, I've got my butterfly on there, and I can do the same thing. I can embellish if I choose to with a little bit of watercolor pencil, add some darks, add some value changes in his body, add some detail if I choose to. I'm going to share with you also a envelope. So just a quick envelope. I just did washes of color, did some warm, true, and cool values, and also then took my marker, and you can see how I've added my detail. Not outline it solid, but dots and dashes. And what a fun envelope that is, and whoever receives it is going to love it, and it's good practice. I did add some lines and kind of distinguished where my address was going to be, but you could totally do that on this envelope. Just add some line work, some dots and dashes, either with my Sharpie or a sharpened black watercolor pencil. I can make his little eyes show up better, his arms and mittens that he's got, or little hands, and definitely then my letters, so you can read what it says a bit better. So don't outline everything, keep them dots and dashes. It's easier for our eye to see. And if you want to use the marker, you can use the marker on the back, same thing. Pencil brush, or if you've got a toothbrush, fill that with color, and I can spatter just a tiny bit around my butterfly. Could do that on the other side. Also, I could do that around the front, just to add some texture and a little bit of variety. I wouldn't do it everywhere, and I wouldn't do too much. I wouldn't get too carried away. And try to keep it off your son. Looks like I got it on my son, but not to worry. I can wet my brush, clean water, and I can lift that off. So, how's that? I think that's a pretty awesome piece of work. Copy them, fold them, and send as many as you can to as many people as you can think of. Make their day.